in here, our community is conservative and they like you staying at home rather than working. We do have a lot of reporters and presenters, but when it comes to women leadership, it's not easy. When man joins new media house, they train him the camera, the editing, the technical. As women, they assume like she's weak. The only thing that she can do is the entertainment program, is advertisement, presenter, women program issues. They decide for you what you can do.
Imagine a world where we have gender equality and equity in and through media. This is our mission at African Women in Media. I'm Dr. Yemisi Akimbobola, and this is Her Media Diary, a podcast that captures the lived experiences of African women working in media industries. In this episode, I'm joined by Hinda Mohamoud, the chief editor of Bilan Media, Somalia's first all-women media team. Hinda leads a team dedicated to covering social issues often overlooked by traditional media in Somalia, such as climate change, people living with albinism and HIV/AIDS, and period education for young girls. She shares the challenges faced by female journalists in Somalia, including societal norms that discourage women's leadership. Yet, she remains optimistic about the future, believing that the existence of Bilan Media shows the community that women can lead and succeed in journalism. So throughout this series, we'll be in conversation with African women who have made a name for themselves by holding vital leadership positions in various newsrooms. By inviting these voices into conversation, we hope to provide solutions to break down barriers faced by African women in media. So, Hinda, it's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I remember in our 2023 magazine, we did a special on your organization, Bilan, which was an inspirational read. I mean, you yourself an inspirational woman. You're an author and a chief editor of Bilan Media, which is Somalia's first all-female media team. And, lots of international media have covered your story and the story of your platform. And what we try to do on the podcast here is to get to know the story behind the story, right? So it's really great to hear your journey and how it started for you right from the earliest age.
Thank you for inviting me to this platform. Let me just give you a bit introduction about Bilan Media. As you mentioned, that's all female media team. We are based in Mogadishu. We do report mix of news and future stories of other country. We go to the regions to report on stories. And it is the first time women have been in charge of the news agenda. We choose the topics that we want to report. And also we do the research, we do the writing, we do the filming. It's like from the button to the finishing line. So it's the first time that women getting that chance to in the media of Somalia. And also we are transforming the Somali media landscape by giving women safe space and real editorial that they can have their own choice. Apart from that, when I started journalism, leadership roles, even right now, were majority dominated by men. If you want to get that position, you have to work twice as hard to prove yourself, even
Absolutely.
right now. So there was lack of also mentorship, and still it's existed that issue. You cannot see like women who can mentor you as a media or as a journalist in Somalia. But we will get there, inshallah. But but if you want to also lead a position, you have to push through by focusing on also your skills and advocating for a lot of women to be in the decision making positions so that other female also can get in that position. Yeah.
So, but let's take a few steps back. Did you grow up in Mogadishu?
No, I grew up in Hargeisa. I was born in Chikchiga, but I grew up in Hargeisa. After when I graduated from the university, I came to Mogadishu. I have been in Mogadishu right now 4 years, and this is my fifth year.
Okay. So tell me about growing up in, please pronounce the name of your town again. Aksha?
Hargeisa.
Argata. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So which part of Somalia is that, and what was it like growing up there?
Growing up there, it was where I get from the courage, and it made me the woman that I am today. And I went to do a diploma of journalism. I used to love writing and also listening to the radio. So when I was a teenager, I was like, I need to be more formal so that I can also start journalism. So I started school in a college there. I did 1 year and a half of diploma, and then that's when I joined it to the industry of media. I started with TV, which was a local TV. At that time, I wanted to learn the technical side.
But in there, let's really talk more about your childhood. Like, what was it like growing up in your town? What was your family setting? Tell us a bit more about you beyond before you became a journalist. What's your earliest memory?
So as a kid, I used to act as an old person because I grew up
Okay.
with my grandma. So I used to like listening to radio. Every morning there was a radio called Radio Hargeisa morning show. I used to listen before I go to the traditional school, which we call in here madrasa. So every 7 p.m. they used to start that show, and I have to listen that show. And always I have to be late because I was listening to that show. And my mom used to tell me, "You have to go to the school." Because I used to like listening a lot. I used to also play a lot, but writing was something that I like. I used to like. I used to write my daily activities, even though as a young age in Somalia, it's rare to see someone who is at a young age starting writing and also listening to focusing on more into news and shows. And also in the afternoon is on around 2 p.m. I used to listen the same radio and BBC. I used to listen. They used to have different songs. That was a show they call Dorwan accent, which is like good afternoon. So I used to listen that show also, and I had to choose because they used to had songs that they used to that you can choose. So I used to choose songs from that show. In here, a lot of the kids, they take nap, but I didn't like taking naps. So I have to listen to the BBC radio, and then I was playful kid when I was young.
You talked about growing up with your grandma. Tell me about your grandma and the influence she had on you.
My grandma, I do remember the things that she tells me when I was young, around 1 year and something. We used to live in Somali region in Ethiopia. So there was a war happened in at that area in Chikchiga. So my family had to flee from that area. So they went to deep on the in Ethiopia and other, ethnicities. So as a kid, like when you are young, you are playing with the other kids. So I was catching from the other kids from their language, and I was starting to learn another language, the Ethiopian language. And my grandma at that time came to visit my mom, and she saw me that I am not speaking Somali, and I was starting to speak another language. And she was like, I need to take my granddaughter so that she can learn Somali. And then she took me to with her, and we came to where my family side of my mom live at that time. So she saved my language. I don't think that I
Yeah.
can speak the Somali that I can speak right now and the Somali that I am writing. Another language was becoming my first language. So she saved me from that. After a few years, 2 or 3 years, I think. we flee from Chikchiga and then we moved to Hargeisa. There was a gap that my grandma didn't came Hargeisa with us, but I stayed with my mom and my young siblings. But there is a deep connection with my grandma. I always call her like, even though she's my mom, but when I grew up, like seeing when I was young, her on every day in my life, I would say like she's my mom, and my mom, my real mom was like my second mom. So yeah, that's a deep connection with me. I love my
Yeah.
grandma.
Yeah. No, we have that in common actually, because I also lived with my grandma for the first 2 years of my life, and I mean she's no longer with us, but I still have a very deep connection with her, so I perfectly understand that. You talked about fleeing. Tell me about that. What's your memory of that period, of that conflict period, and your fleeing?
The war happened in Chikchiga at that time. A lot of ethnicity, the Somali region, the Somali community who live in that area was fighting with the government of Ethiopia with the ownership of the land. I don't have much memory because I was very young at that age, like 1 year and have something when my family fleeing from that and went to the other community. So and then like when my grandma took me to my family side of my mom, then we came to Hargeisa. So I didn't go back until 2020,
Mm.
2020, four
Recently.
years old. Yeah, so
Mm.
I don't have much memory about that. But the thing
Mm.
was, it was about land ownership. They were fighting for that.
Yeah. So you've mentioned radio quite a few times. So radio seemed to have quite an influential impact on your journey into journalism. Tell me more about that.
Actually, I think where I had developed the skill of listening is when I started listening to radio. Till now, I listen a lot, listening to podcasts, listening to documentaries, listening to audiobooks. It's where I developed from, and also from that skill. I mean, listening to the radio. Also, it gave me to listen also people when they are talking to me, because listening is something that can give you understanding the people, and also then when you understand the people, you know how you can respond to them and what
Yeah.
you can learn from them. So it's radio was where I developed my listening skills, and I still like, even if I am on the road cooking something, cleaning something, writing something, I am always listening. So people tell me like, why are you listening? Things you are working. So I say like I am not focusing listening, but I need something that's talking beside me. I need that
Yeah.
someone. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I developed my listening skill, I can say.
Mm, mm, mm. And so you also talked about kind of studying journalism or studying media. What was there a journalism course at that time, and what was it like studying um, at that period?
In Hargeisa, it was rare to you can get diploma of journalism, but it was
Mm,
rare to get degree or the higher education. So at that time, the only thing that I had to do and get the opportunity to do was to learn as a diploma. And when I was starting the university, I looked for that course to do like journalism, but I didn't get that course. So I did international relations and diplomacy, which is kind of more focusing on diversity and international relations. And
mm,
someone who is a journalist needs to understand what's happening around the world, and the policies, the history of and all of those things, and the history.
mm. And so tell us about your journey towards Bilan Media with this organization that's gotten such global attention, and kind of your leadership of it. How did you journey towards Bilan Media?
Actually, I was in Mogadishu at that time, and I was working at that time before I joined Bilan. I was working project which was about the elections and women representation communication, because that is another skill that I also developed from the university, which was the research. Within my university, I was also working on research programs. So at that time, also, I was working as an observer. So
Okay.
I had a lot. They launched the project of Bilan Media, and I didn't get the chance to join when they were launching the program. But after 7 months, they advertised the position, and that's when I applied Bilan and I joined it as an staff.
So you mentioned earlier on about being a leader in media industries, and especially in a country like Somalia, where it's a very male-dominated kind of patriarchal media environment, right? So, what has been your journey in taking leadership of a woman-only and women-led media organization in an environment like that?
In here, women in the media, especially, and in general, our community is conservative, and they like you staying at home rather than working. So also being in a media and also showing your face, writing, speaking, it's something that is we do have a lot of reporters and presenters, but when it comes to women leadership, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And because of the media owners, the private media owners are men. So the only thing that they can think about is to get someone that believe they can do the work, and they don't believe women they can do the work. So they will give the opportunities to man. So, and also, like when man starts or joins new TV or new media house, they train him, even if he don't like, they train him the camera, the editing, all of those, the side of the technical. So as women, they assume like she's weak. The only thing that she can do is the entertainment program, is advertisement, presenter, women program issues. They decide for you what you can do. And also, when there is a meeting, they will not ask you what you would like to tell, what would you like to report on. Like, even if there is a position that they nominate to for women, because the things that we see, because when they see that Pilan is only all women media and they can lead each other, there is a somehow that they are nominating positions, but they will make for you assistant as someone who is man, your male counterpart,
Right.
and he's the
Yeah.
one who is making the decisions. It's
Mm,
kind of
mm.
like you are in there, but like you are not taking the actual decisions. So being in media and also being in a leadership position is not easy in here, and also being someone who can like doing films documentaries is not easy in here as a female in here. So but Bilan, when Bilan came into the picture, they can see that women can work together, women can lead, women can do their work by their own, and also the stories that have been reporting are different from what was reporting on Somalia, because only that was only two programs they used to talk about the political issues, security, the conflict, is all of those things. Like, but they didn't focus on the social issues. What's happening behind the scene of the society? What's happening on the health sector? What's happening on the education sector? What's happening on the women who have been developing small businesses? The economy, the security, how women influence peace building, people who live with HIV/AIDS, people who live with albinism, and period education, because there was a program that we did one story, and also we did a talk show about the young girls and the period education. So you can see our focus is kind of changing the media landscape into something that they can focus on, because Somali there's more than that. you know.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you've begun to kind of allude on this, but as a female or all woman newsroom, what would you say, in your experience, since you took over as chief editor, do you say are the biggest challenges that you face, and how have you navigated them?
That's a cultural tradition. So there's a social norms that discourage women to take these leadership positions. But as a woman, if I don't take that challenge, I don't think the media sector will change. So as women, I have to be role model to the young females who are joining to the industry, so that they can also believe if Bilan team or Hinda can do this work, or if she can hold this position, I can do the same. And also, whenever there's a event, when there is a programs, when that people meet with me, like especially young girls in the universities and the other women who are in the field, I tell them like you have to be like tell them what you want. If you don't tell them people what you want, like no one can head inside you and know what you want. So it's like I'm in this position, but also trying to also advocate for other women also to hold the other positions, not only in the media but also in the government side, the private sector, education, health, security, military, police. You know, we don't see those. So, like, we have to also report also those issues why women are not in that sector. So it's like we have to do a lot of work. I know there's a lot of work that we need to do. Also, there is a when it comes not only me, but we get the opportunity as Bilan Media to mentorship programs and also learning from the other media. We go to Nairobi to learn from the other media. So
Right.
there is a the other women they don't get that opportunity. But for me, there's a challenge if you are not getting mentorship programs. It's not easy to lead, and also it's not easy to manage female or other people. So for me, luckily that I'm getting that mentorship and my team also getting that mentorship, but also trying to transform that mentorship from us to the other local women in the media is something that we are also trying to try to indirectly mentor them. And also there's a majority of media are male dominated, so women to promote in leadership positions, it's rare to see. And
Yeah.
for me, sitting with all men leaders in a table will make you uncomfortable if you are the only one.
How do you navigate that? How do you navigate that when you are sitting at that table? What has been your experiences?
I have to show more than I shouldn't to show, as a woman, because I am the only one who is representing women. I have to be strong. I have to be more clear. I have to be presentable. I have to be clear on what I am talking about. I have to be someone who is advocating for women. I have to tell them like if women are facing harassment, I have to represent on all of those things. But if I have female counterparts in that positions, and it will be mix of genders, it will be easy, and the heavy thing that I am carrying for being the only woman who is in the media leadership will be lifted. But right now I'm the only one, so I have to be like someone who I have to be show more work than what I have to are going to do it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine how you feel kind of even before you enter that room. Like, talk us through kind of how you're feeling, or perhaps with your very first meeting with all media leaders in Somalia. Describe what you went through and what was that like for you?
There was a program. It was workshop, and I was the only one who was the at that leadership position. So when they ask like what position are you held, it's like I am the editor or something, and then they are all man and I am the only one who's the chief editor. So it was quite of disappointed, but I knew that there was no other woman who is in this position. So when it comes to talking about leadership and what media people need and journalists need, you have to be like more. You have to be more professional and share your responsibilities, the responsibilities that you are represented, all the female in this position, alongside the societal expectation and the difficulties that women are facing, and why they are not giving women the opportunity to lead. You know.
Mm, mm, mm. You mentioned earlier on about mentoring young women. What has been your experience of mentoring?
I don't do actually direct mentoring, but randomly, yeah, randomly, it's kind of it's indirect mentoring people when they see you held in this position. Whenever they see you, they will share with you how was your experience and what they are expecting for the future and what their ambition. So I have to encourage them like they can do more than I am right now, and I'm the only role model for. We started Bilan, but we are not the last one. So we have
Mm,
to show
yeah.
that we have to show that for the female journalists.
Mm,
So it's kind of more indirect mentoring, showing the team going to the work, doing their work by flexible, knowing that I have a strong team that who is capable, what man also capable doing in the media when it comes to storytelling. Actually, I have strong team that who can do a lot of stories, and it's been Bilan the only all women media team, and but it's the first media team who won international award, and it's the first time. So by winning that award, also is kind of indirect mentoring because women can reach a lot of positions if they have given the opportunity to lead.
Hi everyone. So permit me to introduce you to the Kigali Declaration, which is a groundbreaking commitment by African women in media to bring gender equality, representation, and respect into every newsroom across the continent. By signing up, media organizations are pledging to tackle gender biases, amplify women's voices, and create safer spaces, more inclusive workplaces for everyone. Now imagine a media landscape that treats every story with balance and every voice with dignity. By adopting the Kigali Declaration, it's not just a commitment, it's a powerful step towards social change. And that starts with every one of us. Absolutely, absolutely. Let's go back to you now and kind of your journey in because you talked about the kind of stories that Bilan does and the inspiration behind them. I know that you started writing your first book, or you wrote your first book, Rad Somali, at 20, which looked at the origins of the Somali people. So, how did that first book and that process and the things you learned about Somali people, how has that influenced your storytelling and the kind of journalism that you do?
First of all, I used to like reading history.
Mm,
So so a lot of my community, they believe some of them they are Africans, some of them they believe that they are Arabs, some of them they are believe something else, some of them they believe they are Somalis. So I needed to learn more about that, and I needed to answer questions that I had in my head. I needed to know more about my people. So I was reading a lot about my Somali community and their history and their language, all of those things. Then I started writing that book. Writing that book shaped me in my storytelling to be more in to share the beauty of Somalis the beauty of our language, the beauty of our culture, how women, Somali women, have been contributing to their community, how Somali women are strong women, and how have they been contributing to their societal, even though the culture is not giving them, their position, but they have been backbone for the community in history when they were fighting with the colonial, when they were every sector of the life women were present. But I learned through in that book writing that a lot of women who have been contributing to the community have been not written there in historian,
This
and
is.
they only focus on man. You can see there have been written a lot of books from Said, but they haven't written about a lot of books from Hawatako, which she was also fighting with the colonial. But it shows you there was always gap. There was a gender gap in every sector of life. So I have to focus on more how I can show the beauty and how women also contribute into the life of Somali community. Whenever I go to programs, whenever I go to those people who write a lot, I ask them, why don't you write about women? Why are you not sharing the story on women, the poetry women who used to sing? Why are you not telling why women who have been contributed to the community? But they have been here and there, but it shame me that I have to be more on to responsible women issues and also write their narrative.
And of course, you've over your career, you've covered stories on so-called taboo issues like period poverty, climate change. You mentioned albinism earlier on. What are some of the most challenging stories you've had to report, and how do you ensure that your stories lead to impact?
A lot of topics considered in here taboo when it comes with the Somali community. We like to hide our issues. So, and people don't like to talk about those issues. So
Yeah.
it was challenging to share the HIV/AIDS stories and also the period education for young girls. I mean, it's very, very it's taboo. It's Somali, but it's taboo topic to talk about women period issues. But we started doing a story about that one first. It was pilot. Usually, what we do in here, it's like if we see something taboo or topic that people don't like to talk about, we start with story, and then
Yeah.
when we see the story feedback, that's when we start also doing, the talk show, bringing people together so that they can also make discussions about that one. So we did a story of period education, and we were not expecting to receive more positive on that issue. But when we were starting, a lot of our male counterpart in the media and other friends that we have, they were saying like, if you talk about that issue, it will be something that Bilan Media will deal with in a negative way. But we
Right.
were like, we have to talk about, because as a young girl, when I was young, I didn't get that chance, and no one teach me what was period, and I didn't, like it was something that I needed when I was young, and every woman in Somalia needed that opportunity. So we started that doing, and then we invited the government, and we asked them if they are planning to add on the curriculum. Are they going to train the teachers? And also we invited the school principals, so and their contribution of, and the school, because in here it's hard to stand up and say like, I want to go to I have my period today. It's not easy. So
It's not,
a
yeah.
lot of the male teachers, they don't understand those issues. Even if they understand, they don't care. So we were asking them like, what are you as a government doing to this issue to support the young girls when they are having their period? Are you providing the beds? Are you providing the other things that women need? But they said they are going to do. they are going to add on the curriculum and they are going to do something about it. And also this year we are planning to do follow-up talk show by knowing where the government where that's the process is going on.
So when you think about all the work you've achieved at Bilan and obviously the very male dominated environment you work in and all the wider social cultural issues, the conflicts, everything, what would you say is the biggest kind of achievement in your eyes that you're making now? And how do you see the landscape changing over the next 10 years or 5 years or 2 years?
The existence of Pilam was successful, and it showed the Somali community that women can they have been contributing to their societal, but it was not shown. But right now, Bilan showing that we are reporting on stories, women who have been innovating new things, women who have been filming, women who have been sharing their political participation. Wherever there's a sexist women, we are showing the community, the contribution of women, and also it's not only women but the social context. So having this will show you that women have been doing a lot but they have been unheard. So Bilan is the voice of the community, but especially for women. And also, the second thing that I can see the achievement Bilan has achieved, it's like women get to sit on the decision making table. They choose their own stories, they choose their own angles that they are going to report on. They do have the freedom of sensing the storytelling and telling the stories from their perspective. And also the third thing that I will say is like also we are changing. We work with the international media. We are also trying to change what media believe about Somalia, and also sharing the beauty of Somalia, the perspective of Somali community, because there is a lot of time that we are giving. It's when foreign journalist comes or someone who is from different country comes to Somalia and trying to report on a story, they do have their own opinion. But as a team of Pilan, as a people who are from Somalia, and we are from the community, and the community is from us, we have to make sure what kind of stories that we are sharing with the international people. Are we changing the picture of Somalia? What is in the Google? What is in so being also being the bridge of between the international media and also in the Somali community. It's that's something that we are trying to change, and also being for role model to the young female journalists. Also, we won award. That was the first. But it's not the last one. But we need to show more that Somali media can also run for other awards, and also we show the other local media that by themselves they can run for awareness, because we need to be visible in the other media landscapes. I mean, whether it's Africa, whether it's Europe, whether it's international, we have Somali Somali journalists have to be visible in that. We have to be visible. We have not been visible since the collapse of the central government of Somalia. So we are showing them they are capable of doing stories which is strong, and they can be in the media of like internationally. And also we are not the first one, we are the first one, but we will be not the last one. That's what we for our future.
Absolutely. I mean, what you just shared there demonstrate leadership on so many levels, not just leadership in the newsroom, not just leadership for all the women and girls who are looking at Milan as an example and women are working as example, but also to the media landscape internationally and locally as well. So it's a very excellent example of various layers of leadership and in media. And as we round up today, what leadership lessons would you say you've learned that you want to pass on to the next generation of female media leaders?
Leadership is not being bossy. You have to learn from your team, and your team will learn from you. And learning is essential for leadership. You have to listen programs, you have to listen books, you have to listen other women who have been in that field. You have to read a lot of books, but you have to remember being leadership is not being bossy, but it's been leading to the better future for that organization and for your team.
Thank you so much, Hinda. It's been such a pleasure interviewing you for the podcast and to have you on the podcast. You're joining me on a Saturday morning in Mogadishu. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blessing to share my experience.
Hinda's story begins in a conservative environment where women are often sidelined. Growing up, she was passionate about journalism, often listening to the radio and writing about her daily experiences. Hinda's determination led her to Mogadishu, where she eventually joined Bilan Media, an organization that has become a beacon of hope for women in Somalia. Bilan Media is not just a media outlet, it's a movement. It empowers women by giving them a platform to tell their stories and choose the topics they want to report on. Hinda emphasizes the significance of mentoring and leadership, noting that women in media often have to work twice as hard to prove themselves in a male-dominated industry. As we reflect on Hinda's journey, it becomes clear that her work is not just about reporting the news, it's about changing perceptions and empowering the next generation of female journalists. Drop me an email at tmc@africanwomeninmedia.com with your thoughts, and do the same if you'd like to join me on an episode of this podcast. To find out more about African Women in Media and our work, visit our main website at africanwomeninmedia.com. And in the show notes, there's a list of organizations and resources to support you if you've experienced any of the topics we've discussed today. Subscribe and follow Her Media Diary on all your favorite podcast platforms, and listen to the previous episodes on our website, hermediadiary.com. Also, tune in through our partner radio stations from anywhere across Africa. And don't forget to join the conversation using the hashtag HerMediaDiary.
Her Media Diary is a product of African Women in Media, an NGO advocating for gender equality in the media industry. And this episode was hosted by Dr. Yemisi Akimbobola, produced and edited by Blessing Udeobase as part of a 4-episode series on women in media leadership. All music featured in this podcast is by Nana Kwabena. Thanks for listening, and join us again next time.